What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome back to yet another video with you, man, Immersionholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the Divided Impera Overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting back into some DEI online battles. The last couple months, I've slowed down a little bit on uploads in general. That's just a personal choice. I've had things going on in my real life, and YouTube is not my 100% priority. It's not my job and never will be, so I just try to do what I can when I can, so sometimes we will have slower periods, so I do apologize for that. But for those of you who have clicked on this video because you want to see an online battle, I won't talk anymore about my personal stuff. Let's get right into it. So for today, we have Syracuse in this 2v2. We have two Syracuse players taking on a Greek coalition of Sparta and Athens. This is going to be a really cool matchup. We have one of the best Greek-looking colony factions, in my opinion, Syracuse, one of the best-looking rosters in the game, taking on two of the most classic Greek factions that there are, Sparta and Athens, possibly rivaled only by Macedon in their classicness, although I'd argue that Sparta and Athens definitely beat them. So the Greek city-states are not happy, with the Greek colonial Syracusans, and they are going to war. So for this 2 versus 2, ladies and gentlemen, we have Johnny and Andre Lemgar playing as Syracuse respectively. The yellow Syracuse right here is played by Andre, and then way over here we have Johnny playing as Syracuse as well. Andre, of course, sent in this battle replay, so massive thanks to him. As always, he's sent in many replays, and I always appreciate his time. On the other side of the field, we will have Nightingale playing as Sparta. Very notorious player from the Caesars Forum Discord. He was really, really good, as is Johnny and Andre. But then we have a new player who I've never watched before, actually. Steam user Davzilla playing as Athens. We can see a little bit of his army, but we'll see more shortly over here, I'm sure. So yeah, we have some really cool factions controlled by some very, very talented players. Basically, anything can happen at this point. So let's go over the Syracusan rosters, and then we'll go over the Athenian and Spartan rosters once we can actually see the rest of their armies. Timestamps will be in the description, as always. Okay, so going left to right, of course. This is for Andre playing as Syracuse. We have Tarentine Cavalry on the far left-hand flank here, 1 unit there. Then we have a Syracuse and Citizen Cav. Very nice mix-up of cavalry, I believe. I did something similar when we had our big YouTuber tournament that I posted a while ago. The Tarentine Cav is really, really nice. Their only downfall is their armor is at 28, which actually isn't all that bad. 28 armor for a mid-tier cav unit is actually quite good. But he has that, then he has Syracuse and Citizen Cavalry. So obviously melee cavalry. Very nice. I really like to see more melee cav used in battles, at least in online battles. He then has some Furio Spears, and then for his main front line right here, he has Syracuse and Hoplites. 2 units of them, 3 units of them, 4 units of them. And he also has crossbow infantry mixed in. So that is his entire first front line right here. And the second line, he has 2 units of Greek slingers, nothing too crazy there. Then in the third line, he has Syracusan guards, which he has 4 units of. And then in the far rear right here, he has 2 sets of Greek archers, and of course his general all the way at the rear, which is a Syracusan Royal Cavalry unit. It looks like that's his entire army, I believe. We're not missing any other units, and he hasn't mixed any with Johnny. So, but moving forward though, for Johnny's army of Syracuse, which starts right here and goes that way, we have Syracuse and heavy infantry, 1 unit, 2 units of them, Furio swordsmen, Sicilian footmen, 2 units of those, Sicilian levies, 1 behind the other there, so 2 of each type of unit there. And then he has Brutian infantry on his right-hand flank. And then he has a mixture of skirmishers. He has 2 Lacanian light infantry units, both of which are javelinmen. And then he has 2 Syracusan heavy pelters right here. So very heavy on the pelters. Very interesting. but he's also very, very heavy on the cavalry. He's got a lot of cav. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of them, including his general, which is a Syracuse and Royal cav, which is basically an elite tier melee cavalry unit. Then has a single Greek javelin cav unit, a Sicilian horseman unit, Syracusan lancers, Tarentine cavalry, and Therios cavalry. So he has almost one of every single type of unit that Syracuse gets when it comes to cavalry. That's kind of funny. And he has them kind of all blobbed up here on his right-hand flank, but I mean, we'll see how he uses them. That's all we can see for the Syracusan armies, though, so I'm going to play the replay a little bit until we see the rest of the armies that we are opposing, and then we'll go into them a little bit more. Okay, everybody, it seems like we can see the majority of the enemy armies, so let's go first and talk about Sparta, and then we'll talk about Athens. Now, remember, Sparta is played by Nightingale. Like I said, very, very talented player. I've played with him before. It was an absolute pleasure. And I learned a lot from him, so I'm really expecting big things from my man Nightingale. But anyway, getting into the actual roster, he has picked Ionian Lancers up here in the rear. Shock Cavalry unit that Sparta gets access to. Allied Cavalry. Doesn't seem to have any other cavalry, at least none that we can see just yet. But we'll start from the left-hand side of the Spartan flank and then go to the right. So he has 2 sets of skirmishers here to Helot Javelinmen, both of which are Javelinmen. I know, shocking, right? He then has Spartan Youths right here, basically a very light spearman unit. Behind them, Helot Slingers, Helot Archers, and Spartan Youths right there. He's Royal Spartan Bodyguard. In front of them, he has 4 units of Reformed Spartan Hoplites, so very, very good Hoplites. I think that they're statistically slightly lower than the Thorax Hoplites, though, but I'm not too sure on what that is. But they don't have Thorax Hoplites, unfortunately, so we can't talk about it. But anyway, the Reformed Spartan Hoplites are very, very powerful. Oh no, wait, it's the Thorax Hoplites that come after them in the Reforms, I believe. I think so. I haven't checked out Sparta in the campaign for a while, but either way, they got 4 units of very solid Hoplites. And then in front of them, they have just regular Spartan Hoplites. They have 4 of them going across right to left, but they're very, very good still. Spartan Hoplites, as a baseline kind of figure, are some of the best in the game. And rightly so, they should be. We then have another Helot Slinger right here mixed into the front lines. On the far right, we have Allied Therios Spearmen and 2 units of those. That's all we can see for Sparta for now, although we might see like more cavalry hidden back here or on the right-hand flank that isn't exposed yet. However, going to Athens, we'll go from right to left this time, and this is for Steam user Davzilla playing as Athens. He has a mercenary Therios Spearman unit here, 300 men per unit, interesting choice. Then has Athenian Hoplites, 1, 2, and 3 of those. He then has 2 Greek Slingers behind them. He has 2 units of Athenian Elite Hoplites. Greek Mercenary Veteran Hoplites, he has 2 of those. A Mercenary Therios Spearman unit with 2 Greek Archers supporting them. Then he has 2 Athenian Light Hoplites on the far left. And we actually can't see his cavalry, so let's go ahead and press play until we can. I know for a fact he does have cavalry. I don't see Spartans having any more cav. They might, potentially, but I know Syracuse has more units to bring on the field. Yes, we're seeing almost all of them. I think there's still at least 1 more Syracusan unit that we can't see. We can see 2 more Greek Javelinmen coming out into the line of sight. Syracusan Royal Cav and a Citizen Cav have gone over there. Wait, what? No, sorry, that's not Syracusan. That's Athenian. I was reading the bottom left-hand marker there. Here we go. Athens is showing us what's going on now. They have mercenary lancers, Athenian bodyguard cavalry, which is actually a shock cav unit, which is interesting. Very high armor, almost cataphract level, really. And then they have a single Tarentine cavalry unit. So 3 units of cav for the Athenians, and only 2 for the Spartans. So instantly you can see Syracuse has the cavalry advantage. But is that going to be enough to win the day? It should be. Let's go ahead and press play, though, and see what each army does. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've pressed play. Obviously, we have a little bit of a villa here that the armies are fighting around. Athens, holding up on the left-hand flank. core of hoplites right here are holding with their skirmishers primarily on the left-hand side and in reserve. Cavalry is playing very defensively alongside some light spearmen to help support. But wow, Johnny playing as Syracuse over there has a lot of cavalry. He could just easily run around the spears and do whatever he wants. So I'm expecting big moves out of Johnny. Already looks like he's moving the Syracusan army right here around to the right-hand flank a little, trying to envelop the Athenians. In the meantime, over here, Andre is essentially going straight head-on against Sparta. Sparta's trying to rush into combat right here. Andre's doing a very nice move, sending his cavalry way out here to do some scouting. Very helpful when you're using the larger battlefield somewhat, but also just in general for DEI it can be helpful. We had the first blood coming in from the Spartan skirmishers. Not something you'd expect me to say, but I'm saying it anyway. Their slingers are getting involved. Looks like they're targeting Syracusan skirmishers. The Syracusans will respond in kind. They're actually falling back. That's interesting. Trying to draw out the Spartans, perhaps. Basically, we have the Athenian player trying to hold around the village, or around the villa right here, but they're also trying to fold their flanks back, and they're going to have to keep going and keep doing it until Johnny has enough time to get around the Athenian position. So the Athenians are basically on a timer, and Andre is going to help reduce that timer massively by sending his cavalry way out here. Not only is he scouting, but he's basically outmaneuvering the Spartans entirely, very, very easily. They have 2 units of cavalry, but they're just chilling in the rear, so we'll see if they come into any kind of substantial impact later on. Looks like we're going to get a melee engagement here. Syracusan guards versus reformed Spartan hoplites. Statistically, the Syracusan guards are ahead of them, although the Spartans have the high morale, so we'll see what happens there. Syracusan heavy infantry engaging the Athenian hoplites. More Spartan hoplites being thrown into the mix, as they should be. We'll lower this unit card display now. Yeah, it looks like we're having the primary engagement occur around the central villa area. Both sides are committing troops, so that could certainly be a bit of a breaking point. But look at this charge coming in. Johnny playing as Syracuse, pushing forward hard, straight at the Athenians. He is bunching up his cavalry, though. He should spread them out a lot more, in my opinion. What's he going to be doing here? He just charged straight towards the hoplites and pulled back at the last second. Interesting use. He's taking a lot of fire from the skirmishers, though. Could be losing quite a few of his men for free. And the Athenians are pulling back with their cavalry, so now their skirmishers are a little exposed almost, but it looks like he's moving his light hoplites just in time to protect them. He needs to keep those skirmishers alive. They need time. But look at this beautiful charge coming in from Johnny onto the Athenians. The Tarentine guys were not ready for it at all. The Athenians do finally get an attack order off. And pretty much across the board, the Athenians actually have higher quality cavalry, because the Syracusans have some very low armored units. So yeah, that Greek Jav unit, even though it got the charge against the Athenians, is actually going to lose. They're just so weak. They are getting reinforcements from the Syracusan Lancer Brigade here, but doesn't seem like it's going to make much of an impact because they're charging behind their own friendlies. Meanwhile, though, the rest of the battlefield is being engaged entirely, although Syracuse over here still has plenty of infantry that they could use to outcircle the Athenians. Yeah, Athens is not in a good position. Meanwhile, Sparta over here is trying to engage Andre playing as Syracuse, but Syracusans are pulling back. They're basically drawing out the Spartan line, disrupting it heavily. And when that happens, we have positions like this, where these Spartans are getting annihilated because they're getting hit in their right-hand side, where their shield doesn't have as strong of an effect. So it looks like Athens and Sparta are kind of fighting their own battles right now. Their only real cooperation is happening in the center around here, and this center is an absolute mess. Oh my goodness. Looks like there is more Greek city-state units in the area, though. 2 Athenian skirmishers, a spear, bunch of Spartans, so they should win that section. But I mean, look at this. Look at this push coming in from the Syracusan infantry. Oh my goodness. The Athenian cavalry is tied down, which is absolutely not what it wants to be doing, because 2 of its units are actually shock cavalry. We have 1 right here and 1 right here from Athens. If they do not pull out and get cycle charges, they are going to get destroyed. They do have spearmen involved though, and those spearmen are making a pretty big effort. That's their light hoplites, but here comes the Syracusans going to annihilate those hoplites. They have more men coming in as well. And they're also kind of doing the same thing as Andre was doing, where they're pulling back and then drawing the hoplites out of formation. So the more that these Athenians chase, the more they're out of position, and then they can come in and get outflanked. But yeah, that Thurio swordsman unit is doing exactly what it needs to do. Basically, Syracuse has swordsmen that can grind down the hoplites, especially if they outmaneuver them and outflank them. We do have cavalry still of the Syracusans way back here. Andre did have them out here, engaging with the Spartans, but now they've pulled back. Wise decision. He doesn't need to overcommit. He needs to let his teammate do all the outflanking with the cavalry. Look at this though, a bunch of Spartan units are shattering in the center. Syracuse has now flipped the tables. It looks like the center was going to go to the Spartans, but Syracuse is coming back in strong. The swordsmen are just outmaneuvering the hoplites, and when they do that, they get big kills. This one unit here, 220 kills fighting mercenary Thurio spearmen and others, and they've lost, what's that, 52 men? That's not bad at all. Bit of a, what, 3-to-1 ratio there, 4-to-1 ratio? Something like that. Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, these Greek city-states are just getting dissected. It's nice that their skirmishes are close by. I like that. Very nice move by the Athenian player. But the Syracusan just has too many troops involved. The Spartans have come in to try and help out over here on this side, but these Athenian skirmishers, they're just way too exposed. Their main line is crumbling from the front and the rear. They're getting outflanked. Although this Athenian unit is actually outflanking the Syracusan unit, but not very well. I don't think they even have an attack order. And that's where the frustration of micromanaging hoplites comes in. Look at these units. Both of these units have the Syracusan unit outflanked, but they're not even attacking. I think they're getting an attack order now, potentially. Well, one unit is and the other one's forming up. Yeah, so now they only were just given an attack order. And it's not necessarily the Athenian player's fault, it's just hoplites require a lot more micromanagement. So definitely has to try and keep a very special eye on his hoplite units as well as these other units. I mean, he has to manage his skirmishes, which he's doing quite well, and trying to do some mass volleys against the Syracusans. It's not looking pretty for either side, actually, at this point. The Syracusans are doing well to outflank, but I'm surprised that they haven't done better. The Athenian skirmishers should have already been dead. Looks like Andre's going to move in his cavalry to possibly accomplish that. But we do have some of the Athenian units being quite stubborn. What do we have here? Greek mercenary veteran, mercenary Thurio spears. Man, Thurio spears is so disgusting in how effective they can be sometimes. It's very interesting. Athenian skirmishers are about to be crushed. Oh wait, no, Andre is changing his attack order to come in and help out the Syracusan unit right here. Interesting. Yeah, I would think he would want to crush these archers once and for all, but I mean, nope, he doesn't want to yet. Sparta did fall back and reform its lines, but it's pushing forward once again. Meanwhile, Syracuse on the left, scrambling to form up some kind of line, some kind of formation. They do have the units, but Sparta actually has quite a few infantry units in the area, and they have 2 units of cavalry. Right there. That is the Allied Cav and the picked Ionians. Both of which are just under 100 kills each, which is okay, but not good enough. They need more, a lot more. What the hell is going on? Athens seems to be losing the final few units of their army. Man, they just got hammered. They just couldn't handle that outflanking maneuver, although they handled it a little bit better than what they should have, if anything. So I actually give props to the Athenian player for lasting as long as he has, considering he had a 2-to-1 ratio for his cavalry. He had 3 units of cavalry taking on like 6 units of Syracusan units, and he still has some of his units alive. His skirmishers are now just getting annihilated. But really, when you have that kind of cavalry ratio advantage and your infantry are better, and I would consider Syracuse and infantry better than Athens, yeah, usually it's going to be a quick battle. But the Athenian player did well to hold on for as long as he has, but he's now down to just a handful of units. He has 3 units in that little circle I just made, another one out there on its own. Athenian player is essentially done. It's coming down to Sparta though. Where's the general of Sparta? Here he is. 298 men left. How many kills? 0 so far. That's not good. Spartan generals are amazing. They need to get involved in the combat. Especially if the Greek city-states are going to have any hope in bringing this back. Spartan cavalry is coming in, recharging the hoplites of Syracuse. But they need to be careful of the crossbowmen that Syracuse has brought in. Oh wait, no, they don't have crossbowmen. Where are they? I thought they did bring crossbows. Huh. Oh yeah, there they are in the rear. 160 kills each. Wow, that is very impressive. They're not doing bad at all. Should have paid a little bit more attention to their crossbows. I know a lot of people love them. Still undecided if I think they're overrated or not, but they're being effective in this battle. 300 kills between 2 skirmish units is not that bad. Feeding final units are being hammered. One just got recharged right here. Another one's getting surrounded. That is the Athenian elite hoplites, of course. Sparta is coming over towards the Athenian unit, but in doing so, they're leaving a bunch of their units out here on their own. So that's a bit of a waste, in my opinion. I would say leave the Athenians to try and hold out as long as they can, but yeah, they're just kind of throwing away these units. What's this, Spartan use, is it? Yeah. I mean, what are they doing? They're chasing down crossbowmen that have already got 300 kills between them. They probably don't have any more ammo left. I mean, I get why he wants to do it, but at this point, Sparta needs to be able to try and get into a bit of a grind-out fight. If it can do that without losing its flanks, or, well, it basically has lost its flanks, but without getting hammer and anvil too hard, Sparta might be able to grind out against these Syracusan units. Athens, I wouldn't count on grinding out. Sparta, it's possible. Their hoplites and their morale are fantastic. We do have the Spartan cavalry getting caught out here, though. That is a very big waste. Hopefully they can get out of it. Oh, man, he's going to be lucky if they don't rout. Yep, they're wavering. They're losing men. Oh, that's a bit of a waste for the final Spartan cav unit. Yep, they're shattered. See you later. I don't think there's any more cavalry on the field for Sparta, or Athens for that matter. It's all coming down to the infantry of Sparta. Can they pull through? Really doesn't look like it, in my opinion. The Spartan player is just getting drawn out into all these different fights. I understand why he wants to take them and not get skirmished to death, but because he is taking these fights, he's opening himself massively to cavalry charges, which I'm surprised he isn't getting more of, actually. Needs these cavs. Syracuse players need to use their cav. Bring him in here. Andre doing really well to keep his cav alive until the late game. He has 3 units left. 2 of which have amazing kills. 350 kills is pretty disgusting. Oh, the Athenian player still has 2 units left. Athenian elite hoplites and veteran hoplites. Go Athens. Actually surprised for them. Hang on. We're not seeing the battle get turned around now, are we, ladies and gentlemen? Surely not. The Athenians and Spartans were just entirely surrounded. They have cavalry recharging. Tarentines at 250 kills, 64 for the Royal Cav, 362 now for the Citizen. What is going on here? How are the Spartans and Athenians bringing it back? They must have killed one of the Syracusan generals. I mean, we do basically have just one of the Syracusan players left. You can tell by the yellow trim. This is just Andre's army left. Johnny has essentially lost his entire army. Wow, how is this happening right now? Johnny should have had that with that massive cav advantage. I mean, the Athenians did well to support with skirmishers, but I don't think they got a lot of kills. We'll have to check that in the end game here, but Right now, this is somehow anybody's game. Anybody could win this right now. If anything, it's actually looking kind of favored back towards the Greeks. But man, this is really fascinating. Getting charge orders come out towards the Spartans. That's the crossbowmen of Syracuse coming in, so they are out of ammunition, I was right, but so are the Helot skirmishers right here. They're shattered off the battlefield. This is really not good for Syracuse right now. They are getting clumped up. He also has a cav unit that's about to get attacked by a spearman unit. Not a big deal, but yeah, they shouldn't really lose any men from that. Just gotta be careful though. Can be costly. Athenian unit is once again being drawn away. What a waste. That's gonna shatter surely. They've lost a bunch of men. Yep, see you later. I mean, it's very hard to not be drawn out, but throughout this entire battle, we've consistently seen the hoplites drawn out of formation in all these different directions. And then I'm just really shocked that the cavalry hasn't been more decisive for Syracuse. As soon as I saw that cav advantage, I was thinking, okay, it's over. But I mean, the Spartans are now getting hammered in the rear. They do have their general fighting. He's at 100 kills and he's only lost 8 men, so the Spartan general is still formidable, don't get me wrong, but okay, it looks like Syracuse is bringing this back. The Athenian units have been routed. We just have a few more hoplites of the Spartans left, but look at all these Syracuse units still here. Andre did really well to not only keep his army alive in general, but keep his cavalry alive. Very nice job by him. Yeah, the Spartans are gonna rout here. They're surrounded, they're worn out. Their general is getting stuck into a grind out fight. And the cavalry charges are coming in. So, okay, obviously Syracuse is gonna take this win. Like 10 seconds ago, it seemed to be anybody's game, but within just a few other seconds, Syracuse brings it back. They shattered a bunch of Spartan units. There is a single Athenian unit left here. That's actually quite impressive. Still going, down to 3 units for Syracuse to take on. We're getting down to the 3-minute mark here with us, so I'm going to put this into fast forward. It seems pretty much like a done deal. Go to the lower one. Okay. I mean, wow, that was a very interesting battle. I'm not sure on some of the moves and why they were made. It seemed to be that the initial plan of Andre and Johnny was to essentially rush the right-hand flank of the Athenians, outmaneuver them essentially, which is quite easy since they're mostly hoplites, and then use the cavalry to hammer and anvil, but they just didn't get the hammer and anvils coming in too heavy, at least not quick enough. There needed to be more charges happening. The Athenian play even mismicroed his cavalry. They got charged while they were standing still, but he didn't pay too heavily for it, luckily enough for him. Spartans and Athenians are looking to make a nice final dramatic last stand right here. Need to be engaged though so that they can be surrounded. I mean, I see why the Syracusan player is pulling away, but it's time to engage now, end this fight. These guys are all entirely surrounded. They have the archers nearby, right? Oh no, that's crossbowmen, crossbows. I believe that's archers. But yeah, here comes a final charge against the Greek city-state coalition. The free Greek city-states trying to fight off the Syracusan menace, and they just can't handle it. Athens is now out of the game. Sparta is wavering. The king is fighting down to the last man. Kinda. But the general's bodyguard is still alive, and they are going down swinging, but there's just absolutely no way. Syracuse is coming in with their final cav units to deal a devastating charge against the Spartans. Spartans are some of the best warriors in the ancient world, but even the Spartans have their limits. And they've met their limits today against the Syracusans. One of their units retreats. Their general is entirely on his own. Initiates a war cry, a little intimidated against these Syracusan units. Routes one off the field, but it shouldn't matter now. The general's trying to form up in one last little phalanx position, but then the enemy cavalry's coming in. They're wavering. They're wavering. Here comes the cav charge. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, they are gone. Syracuse takes the day, and the Greek city-states are defeated. Let's very quickly go to the battle statistics screen, and then we'll end the video there. Okay, everybody, it was a pretty long battle, but not too long, although I will try to make this relatively short and sweet. Here on the left-hand side, we have Johnny's Syracusan army. He had pretty low-tier infantry, so obviously the low-tier infantry didn't really do all that much. He has 4 units getting a total of like 100 kills, which isn't ideal. His javelin men, 2 units did pretty much nothing really. And then the other 2 units, while they didn't get a lot of kills, 80 kills is okay. They seem to be still alive in decent condition, although I didn't see them at the end of the battle, so they must have routed by morale damage. His general was killed though, obviously a mistake there. He really can't afford to lose his general in a battle like this, especially against Sparta, which is famed for their morale. That's one of the reasons Sparta is so good in this. His Syracusan heavy infantry did amazing though, as they should. But yeah, his cavalry was pretty subpar. He had a lot of variety then. I'm not sure on the rules on cavalry. I think they could only bring 1 type of each, but regardless, the Syracusan army, Johnny, it had a few standout units, Brutian infantry, the heavy infantry, and their general, but besides that, a lot of their army kind of didn't meet the expectations that they needed to, and their cavalry especially. While some of them had kind of respectable kills, they just didn't get enough of the enemy off the field. Andre, 456 kills on a unit that has more than 90% of its unit left. That's disgusting. Andre, you should feel ashamed of that. Like, dude, how are you so good, Andre? What the hell? It's a very, very nice kill ratio to have. All of his cav did fantastic, and they were all alive until the late game. The Tarentines did rout, but it was only after getting 256 kills. So very impressive usage of his cavalry. The crossbows did really good. I wish I paid more attention to that. I apologize. I should have. But either way, getting that amount of kills is very respectable. Nice job, although they are expensive, so he better do well with them. Athens did respectable with some of its units, especially its elite hoplites. They all did quite well with their kills, most of which getting the amount of kills that they needed. Even their low-tier spearmen actually did okay. Their standard Athenian hoplites did pretty bad though. The light hoplites did okay, but not really good enough. But the javelin men and just skirmishers of Athens didn't get the kills that they needed either. They really needed to help the Athenian cause of lack of cavalry. And when you compare that to the Spartan side of things, skirmishers are basically around the same level. 55 kills is the highest any skirmisher cav unit got for Sparta, and that's not really good enough. The Spartan infantry is amazing, but when they're outflanked, skirmisher death and rear charge, it doesn't matter how good they are going to rout. And so, to counter that, Sparta either needed a lot more cavalry or they needed their skirmishers to get more kills, especially more kills against the enemy skirmishers and cavalry. But Sparta is always going to struggle there, so I definitely don't blame Nightingale at all for that. He just did the best he could with what he could do. Basically, yeah, mad props to absolutely everyone involved in the fighting. A lot of difficult things to deal with for both sides here, but Syracuse ends up taking the day and winning the battle. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know what other factions you would like to see in future online battles. We do have more coming very soon, and we also of course have more Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD Attila battle mods, battle replays, coming out very soon as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.